In front of me, there is a large school of mullet. The water here is shallow, but the current is still strong. I have to move without the fish sensing me as a danger. I then decide to move to the rock on my right. I exhale all the air from my lungs, and with the little breath I have left, I glide forward. Now, all I have to do is wait. After a while, the fish sense my heartbeat, and curious, they come closer. I caught the first fish after 6 months out of the water. A lot of time has passed since my last fishing day in Apnea, all because of the serious injury to my finger that I had. In the past months, I tried to dive, but I couldn't load the gun. Today, for the first time, I don't feel pain in my stomach. I decided to start in very shallow water, in an area where I have never fished, the island of Carloforte. Here, the terrain is very unique, consisting of high cliffs and volcanic slabs that plunge into the sea. Who knows what I will find down there? And that is exactly what I thought when I arrived by ferry on the island, which I had never visited. I am very excited to go down for the first time, even though the start is not entirely promising. The water is indeed murky and full of stinging jellyfish, so one must be careful. I decided to bring my favorite spear gun, the Coral 80, a short gun with which I have an amazing feeling. Today, in fact, there is a lot of surf, and moving on this shallow bottom requires a lot of weight on the belt, which I know will tire me out a lot. I want to start with a series of ambushes that will end with a sighting, hoping that some big fish might come close. Yet I only see small shadows in the distance. They are breams approaching timidly. They are too small to shoot. I then move on this very shallow bottom of about 40 centimeters, and in the distance some mullet can be seen. The strategy is very simple. Stay still and aim for the biggest one. Bye. Even though a lot of time has passed, I still have a steady hand with this gun, and the shot turns out perfect. After the first mullet, my search continues among these uneven rocks. This is the classic situation where the fish can pop out from around the corner at any moment, and you need to be ready to shoot immediately. A little further ahead, I indeed see 2 bream that are feeding. They are fish of about half a kilo, and I should shoot immediately, but I hesitate too much to do so. In fact, I always hope that the fish come closer, but a wave suddenly pushes me, and the frightened bream swim away. Unfortunately, in shallow water, a wrong movement can jeopardize everything. Not too bad. At least the fish are there. In fact, shortly after, I see the initial school of mullet again. And as you have already seen at the beginning, with a small ambush near the rock, I managed to bring them within range. This mullet was hit perfectly and is dead on the spot. I am still moving in the shallow waters, made up of slabs and small pebbles, among which a beautiful starfish is hiding, which I observe with curiosity, and then put back in its place. When fishing in shallow water, another technique you can use is that of surface waiting. You don't need to dive for this technique. Just find a stone that is well hidden and comfortably wait for the fish while keeping the tube out of the water and waiting for the fish to come closer. Unfortunately, today the sea is a bit too rough for this technique, yet a school of bream is coming so close that I could almost touch them. And just over a minute has passed. The same happened with this larger bream, which approached to understand what that strange creature was sitting on the bottom. The incredible thing is that if we stay still, the fish won't flee and will remain around us until we make some sudden movement. A technique that I don't like to use but that sometimes works very well is that of waiting. In this shallow water, I found some large channels, and in these channels, some nice fish could pass by, especially mullet and bream. I settle in and look for a spot near a rock. The strategy that might work is also to create noise, similar to that of the bream crushing some small fish. Fish are indeed all great opportunists, and when there's an easy meal, they rush to eat. However, in this case, the fish I expected don't come, but a large grouper does. But I wait to shoot, hoping for a bigger fish, which however does not arrive. Unfortunately, the sea is starting to get quite rough, and fishing in this shallow water is not pleasant at all. I could still encounter some nice fish, but shooting would be really difficult, as the waves move me around quite a bit. As happens with this mullet, I see the fish from a distance, but I can't stabilize myself right away. So I will try to surprise it from the other side of the rock, but the waves keep moving me. Unfortunately, the mullet comes and quickly escapes. A little further ahead, I see a school of bream, some of which are really very large. Here too, the only solution is to go around the rocks in front of me that separate them and make a long path in apnea to try to get as close as possible. After a while and with a lot of difficulty, I manage to achieve my goal and slowly get closer and closer to the fish that are feeding, but the larger ones, definitely smarter than the others, manage to sense me and swim away, so I decide not to hope for the smaller ones. I am now tired, as a couple of hours have passed and the sea is getting rougher. I decide to try again the next day in a completely different depth. In the next video, you will see me dealing with completely different depths. My choice will be to opt for a longer spear gun, because here you really go from 2 to 30 meters in no time, with steep cliffs and blue depths. And if you come to Carlo Forte, you cannot miss exploring its incredible landscapes, with roads that will take you down to hidden coves among high cliffs, and especially strange mountains that seem to have come from another planet. But if you come here, you cannot miss tasting the local cuisine. Carlo Forte is indeed a small district of Genoa in Sardinian land, and the cuisine is almost exclusively Ligurian, with typical specialties of the area: fried cod, swordfish, tuna in all sauces. In fact, here they still practice the traditional tuna slaughter. Carlo Forte oozes fishing and sea from every pore, and tomorrow we will explore together one of the most beautiful depths I have ever seen.